us.
Another few months of the International Peace Bureau. And as I just said, today we are so international, it's not true. I mean, it's fantastic to see this, this ceremony and how we are technologically assisted in order to really be active all over the world. And I am not going to be doing much of the introducing of the association or even of the prize. Philip's going to do that. But I wanted to say from the bottom of my heart that I am so pleased that we can give this prize, this very important Seán MacBride Prize, to the Assistant Association for Political Prisoners Burma. It is an honor to be with you here, and we are so excited at all the work you do and how we can support you and how we can contribute to getting your name and your work known throughout the world. And because we think that that is absolutely fascinating. In Italy, we have a long history of supporting the trade unions in exile, the Burmese trade unions in exile. But we've never really been that close to those who have assisted political prisoners, and we're very keen on that. And I understand that you're also involved in helping people understand human rights, what their human rights are, and how to defend them and how to uphold them. And this is, again, something that is in the history of our organization. So we are a match, a perfect match as organizations, and we are absolutely delighted to have been able to not just award you the prize, that we did some time ago, but to actually get this ceremony together. I didn't do anything towards this, so I have many other people to thank for having got this done, but I'm delighted. I know that Philip Jennings is my co-president, is now going to tell you a little bit about the Seán MacBride Prize and give you a historical overview of the Seán MacBride Prize. Philip, can you do that now? Hello, Bina.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Am I coming through loud and clear to everybody? Can I get an answer?
Yes, you are, loud and clear, but I turned my mic off.
Dear friends, it is a particular honor for me to address the Seán MacBride Prize ceremony today to honor the Assistant Association for Political Prisoners of Burma and their courageous work for the victims of brutal repression in their nation. I was so happy to see those smiles and excitement and enthusiasm of all those faces I saw before this program started. That gladdens my heart, gives strength to us, and above all, gives strength to all of you. The world has not forgotten your struggles, your sacrifices, and the need for democracy to return to your country. In February of this year, the doomsday clock stood at 100 seconds to midnight, the closest to midnight since it was first published in 1947. In Myanmar, that clock already struck midnight in February 2021.
We need you to unmute.
Sorry about this. I keep getting different messages coming through.
Now we hear you.
Thanks.
You hear me? Sorry, forgive me. It's just I get different messages coming through. In Myanmar, that clock already struck midnight in February 2021 when a brutal military coup led by a corrupt military junta decided to wage war against its own people and extinguish the flame of this young democracy. The clock may be at midnight, but the hearts and the minds of the people in the country do not accept what happened, and they are trying with great determination to push that clock back. In those 15 months, we have seen unrelenting brutality against the people. Over 1,600 people killed, 12,500 detained, 440,000 displaced, and 14 million people in need of humanitarian assistance. This regime declared war against its people. They have committed crimes against humanity, mass killings, burning of villages, torture, victims found dead with hands and feet tied. The UN has confirmed this war against the people is planned, coordinated, and systematic. The junta seeks to end the democratic changes that took place in the country during the last decade. A change brought by the people, led by the people, desired by the people. Your nation was being transformed. As each year ticked by, a sense that there was no turning back to military rule that had scarred the nation for over 50 years. The commitment to democracy had taken root in the hearts and the minds of people. The people refused to submit to the military jackboot. A national protest movement emerged and surged and challenged and continues to challenge, loudly and silently, against military rule. People from all walks of life demonstrated bravery, courage, resistance to fight back. The human cost has been enormous. It has become a nation peopled by prisoners of conscience. The human toll extraordinary, and yet your brave struggle continues. The work of the AAPP is critical. Registering the political prisoners, the status of trials and sentences, providing support to release prisoners and their families. Since the coup, they are unique in documenting every death and person arrested. They are a lifeline to people. They hold this junta accountable, inform the world of atrocities. They tell the human truth and human stories, provide comfort and solace to families whose loved ones have disappeared, been detained, tortured, and murdered. In pursuing justice for the victims, they are a spark of hope that will not be extinguished. The AAPP brings the dignity of memory that those victims will not be forgotten. There is a human life that must not be ignored or forgotten and must have access to justice. You are worthy winners of the Seán MacBride Prize. This is a prize that marked the IPB centenary when it was launched in 1992. The motive was and remains to recognize people and movements who have campaigned for peace, agitated for disarmament, and toiled to win respect for human rights. We have recognized those who have made good trouble for peace, that have taken a stand. It is the highest honor that the IPB can award. It brings our global IPB family together. And in these COVID days, we are together virtually today, but our spirits and our hearts are entwined. Seán MacBride passed away in 1988, and the parallels of his life and the achievements and work of the AAPP are woven together. His father was executed in the struggle for Irish independence from colonial rule. As an adolescent, Seán MacBride was executed. As an adolescent, he joined the struggle for Irish independence. He was imprisoned for his work, and in his adult life continued the struggle for Irish independence. The loss of his father, his part in the struggle for independence, provided the basis for a life dedicated to peace, disarmament, and human rights. He reached high office nationally and globally, from the United Nations to the Council of Europe. He was Secretary General of the International Commission of Jurists. He drafted the first constitution of the Organization of African Unity and those African nations upon their independence. He received both the Nobel and Lenin Peace Prizes. He was the chair and president of the International Bureau from 1968 to 1985. He was a founder and chair of Amnesty International from 1961 to 1975, an organization whose roots were embedded in the need to protect prisoners of conscience, political prisoners. Throughout his life, he saw the fundamental relationship between peace and respect for human rights. He was one of the architects of the European Convention on Human Rights for UN disarmament initiatives, successfully challenging the legality of nuclear weapons. In parallel with the AAPP, MacBride was a trustee of the International Prisoners of Conscience Fund, a fund that continues to provide support to the victims of the junta in Myanmar today. In awarding MacBride the Nobel Peace Prize in 1974, the Nobel Committee stated, he mobilized the conscience of the world in the fight against injustice. His Nobel acceptance speech was themed the imperatives of survival and reflected his feeling of despair. And he said, because we are living in a world where war, violence, brutality, and ever-increasing armament dominate the thinking of humanity, but more so because humanity itself gives the appearance of having become numbed or terrified by its own impotence in the face of disaster. We are once again in a world in crisis. The war in Ukraine, the Russian invasion and aggression, threats of nuclear annihilation, militarization, the crushing of human rights, the pandemic, inequality, and the existential threat of climate change. MacBride, the IPB, and the AAPP, and our members everywhere have not given in to despair. We remain solid in our solidarity with the people of Myanmar. The UN Secretary General has called for a global ceasefire, which we engineered and supported. We want a cessation of the war against the people in Myanmar. There must be an arms embargo internationally. No general, no part of this regime should profit from war and repression. There must be no seat at the regional or international table for this odious regime. The world must recognize the national unity government. They must be held, this junta, accountable for their crimes against humanity. In closing, I think MacBride would rejoice with the reckoning of the AAPP today. He recognized the essential role of civil society in our communities. He said they are the only bodies that will have the necessary independence and initiative to restore some faith and idealism in our world. AAPP, you play that essential role. You have not submitted to despair. You bring hope, bring essential aid to victims, and shine a global light on this most violent oppression. The people of Myanmar resist. They are resilient. They have not given up on the struggle to return the nation to democracy. In closing, I congratulate you as worthy winners of the Seán MacBride Prize. Congratulations, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Philip. I said in my opening words that this was going to be a very exciting get-together. We're going to be together for an hour or maybe only slightly longer, but it's going to be worth, I won't say a lifetime, but worth a lot more than just 1 hour. And just the fact that we have the honor to have with us Aung Myo Min, who is the Minister of Human Rights in the National Unity Government, which is, I don't know, some of us would perhaps call it the government in exile or the legitimate government of Myanmar, recognized by the European Parliament and many other international institutions, perhaps all, I don't know, but it's the legitimate government as far as the International Peace Bureau is concerned. And so, Mr. Aung Myo Min, would you give us your words of what's been called an honorary speech? Thank you.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. This is a great honor to join you today on behalf of the National Unity Government, the legitimate government of the Union of Myanmar. I thank the International Peace Bureau for its very kind invitation. And as Myanmar's first Minister of Human Rights, it is particularly privileged to be asked to help celebrate Myanmar organization, the AAPP, for its outstanding work for peace and human rights. Seán MacBride is a name synchronized with the peace and its pursuit through struggle, through diplomacy, through disarmament, and in the simplest term, I would say, through fighting for what's right. The recipient of this year IPB Peace Prize goes to the Assistant Association for Political Prisoners, AAPP. AAPP is well deserved for its extraordinary bravery in support for peace and human rights. By documenting life damaged and destroyed by the illegal military junta in Myanmar, the AAPP has humanized the people's struggle. The model and despair have names. The detained are recovered. The marchers are remembered for their sacrifice. And by performing this service, the AAPP and its members have placed themselves directly in the junta's crosshairs. Seán MacBride began his career as a fighter against colonial rule. Just like the earliest revolutionary in Myanmar. Yet since our nation's independence in 1948, the Myanmar military has repeatedly turned its guns against our own people. Our contemporary history has been marked by brutal military repression, by decades of darkness in which generals switched their military fatigue for civilian suit, and by fig leaf constitution that promised to respect the will of the people, only to see the baton raised and the weapons pointed when the people choose democracy. In 1990, a landslide democratic victory drew massive killings and arrests, not a military concession or the political transition, unfortunately. Finally, in 2015, it seemed that the long shadow would be lifted in our dream. After years of political negotiation, democratic elections allow for the appointment of the first civilian president in over half a century, even if only through a carefully engineered power-sharing arrangement that preserved the military's hold. Yet on 1st February 2021, after only 5 years of partial democracy, the men in uniform again reached for their guns. They were furious that in the November 2020 general election, the people overwhelmingly chose democratic leaders. They were terror-stricken at the prospect of civilian oversight. Last year, failed military coup echoed of the crackdown of the 1990s. It also saw the military reach as far back as 1962 to a playbook that demanded that it place a pistol to the head of any democratically elected government of Myanmar. The people had grasped democracy, refused to relinquish their freedom at the scale and with the unity before unseen. We gathered in peaceful protest. We deployed civil disobedience. Even now, we continue to act in self-defense to protect our communities. We have issued a new federal democracy charter that investigates a nation founded on peace, justice, equality, human rights, and the protection of minorities, led by the National Unity Government. But our refusal to surrender our freedom has come at a terrible cost. The military junta, frustrated at its failure to seize the power, has driven Myanmar into devastating political, economic, humanitarian, and human rights crises. Peaceful demonstrator has been shot dead in the street by snipers. Children have been murdered in their homes. Young people have been disappeared, while thousands more remain arbitrarily detained, subject to torture, rapes, and sexual violence. Civilian has been burned alive. These atrocities, now manifest countrywide, have already been directed against the Rohingya in Rakhine State and against ethnic people in Kachin, Seán, and Karenni states. Past military impunity, hatred has again shown, laid to the road of future abuses, the target few are now the many. We stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine because we too are being targeted by airstrikes. Civilian body has lined our street. Rape and sexual violence are being used as the weapons of war. And like the Ukrainian people, we too are being killed by the Russian weapons. This returns me to the essential work of the AAPP, founded by former political prisoners, most of them my close friends, for 2 decades. The AAPP has documented the killing of close to 2,000 persons, children among them. Since the failed military coup, it is tracking the fate of nearly 14,000 persons that remain in the jail or detention of the military junta, and of at least 113 persons sentenced to death by military tribunes. It's continued to lobby for the right of the political prisoners and the help of the released, the rebuild their life. Amazing work. Congratulations. At the time of misinformation, of lack of access, of divided international attention, the AAPP is crucial to the recording of the true human impact of the gender crimes. On behalf of the National Unity Government, I extend enormous gratitude to the AAPP, along with other sincere congratulations to its fully observed recognition. This great occasion of the awarding of the Seán MacBride Peace Prize to the AAPP is marred only by the tragic escalating need for its essential work. In closing, I again thank the International Peace Bureau for my invitation today and for the solidarity with the people of Myanmar. With the sustained support of our friends in freedom, we will prevail. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Minister. Thank you very much, Aung Myo Min, Minister of Human Rights of the National Unity Government, the only legitimate government of Myanmar. Thank you, thank you. You described the terrible conditions in which your country has been living since the coup, but of course there were also terrible years long before that. But there was that period after which you said you felt that the long shadow of oppression and violence was perhaps being lifted with democracy, but that didn't last. It lasted only for those 5 years. I am sure with all your efforts, we will get it back. We will get it back for you. We will remove that long shadow again altogether. And now, thanks to your description of the AAP, and I think we can ask Rainer to give us the presentation of the medal to, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her name, Nguyen Chan Mei, who is in the Berlin offices of the International Peace Bureau, from the German Solidarity with Myanmar Democracy. Rainer.
Yeah, dear colleagues and dear friends, it is great that it's impossible to give the award by Zoom. So we have it to do from person to person. And I love to do it and to give the award and the prize to Nguyen Chan Mei. And Nguyen, first of all, I can give to you historical document of the award. This is for you. And then it's an honor for me to give you the award from MacBride Prize Award 2021, given on the 24th of May 2022. Thank you very much for taking it, and thanks to the organization and you that you are here with us and I can handle to you the award. So Lisa, the work is done and the floor is again to you.
Oh, I see. I thought you were going to give some more speeches, Rainer. You're terribly good at that. But in any case, we now have the acceptance speech. So Bo Chi, who is in my SOT on the Thai-Myanmar border, relatively safe away from the military junta and dictatorship, I hope. But we all hope he's there relatively safely. And we want to hear from him. We congratulate him and his organization once again. I also understand that there are other people in your offices in MySOT who are witnessing this ceremony, and we're so delighted that we can share the excitement of the award with those people as well. I'd love to be able to see them, but maybe that's not possible. But in any case,
maybe possible.
If it's possible, that would be wonderful.
Wait a second.
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
We are trying our best to do this small gathering at the APP office.
Yeah, but don't worry if it's difficult, please. That was just off the cuff that I just wanted to see.
Watching the event through different computer and projector.
I see. Okay. Well, look, the floor is yours, Bo. Bochi. What do I call you? If I want to be friendly with you, the way you call me Lisa, do I call you Bo or do I call you Chi?
Yeah, both is fine.
Okay. Okay.
Both is the fast.
Okay. I won't do that then. And I think the time has come for you to accept the International Peace Bureau's Seán MacBride Prize. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So good afternoon and good evening to you all. It is an honor to accept this Peace Prize. I really wanted to be present at the event in person. However, due to the existing situation, I could not. The achievement of Seán MacBride for peace, disarmament, and human rights are really an inspiration to all generations. He saw the horrors of war. His incessant effort and dedication to prevent the occurrence of conflicts motivate organizations like ours. My organization, the Assistant Association for Political Prisoners, known as AAPP, shares the same values as Seán MacBride has planted. So does the nationwide democracy movement in Burma. Since the military coup, people across the country have been fighting against all forms of rooted injustice. The security forces of the junta have been committing war crimes, crime against humanity, and genocide. The junta overturned credible and fair results of the 2020 general elections. Their forces have used powerful and harshly destructive weapons against peaceful protesters and other citizens. Apartments were randomly shot at and set on fire. Criminals were released from prisons to create climate of fear among the general population. Burma has experienced a number of military coups since colonial independence. But what makes the coup different this time is that military has lost total legitimacy as the armed forces of the nation. With this separate revolution, we want the military to respect the will of the people. We want the military to walk out of politics and return to the barracks where they really belong. A full-fledged people's resistance means hunters lost territory control from time to time. They cannot recruit new soldiers, they cannot manage the economy or rule the country any longer. We do not need a military which kills its own people and holds the people's lives hostage. The junta has kept arresting activists, journalists, witnesses, or bystanders, including boys and girls. Currently, there are around 11,000 political prisoners in Burma, including State Councillor Daw San Suu Kyi, President U Win Myint, students, teachers, doctors, CDMers. I would say here, they even want to cleanse the entire Generation Z. Military regards anyone who is against the coup an enemy. They torture, kill, and massacre innocent people, burn their villages, bombard the civilians targeted in Kachin, Karen, Karenni, and Chin State, and Sagaing and Bagoy regions. They seize houses, they loot food and property. Moreover, children are shot dead, and many people are burnt alive, including women, children, the disabled, and the elders. Torture is the military's notorious technique. Consequently, many people have been physically tortured to death in interrogation. For over a year, 2,000 civilians, politicians, students, and villagers have been killed. In reality, that numbers may be much more. If a resistant fighter is captured by the military, they are tortured and killed. But if a military troop is captured by the resistance, they are treated with dignity. That is the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the tasks of AAPP is to document arbitrary arrests, killings, and human rights violations and torture committed. We did this because military has never ever told the truth about the extent of its atrocities. We want the world to know how many people the junta has brutally detained. Besides, the sacrifice of the fallen heroes are always redeemed and remembered. We dedicate this prize to them. And we are grateful to the International Peace Bureau for selecting AAPP, the winner of this prestigious award for 2021. It is now the hardest time for the people of Burma. We have seen our friends and comrades detained again as political prisoners. We have seen the youth gunned down and ran down by the military vehicles on the streets. We have lost families and friends who show the true love to the country and the people. It is really a hard time for AAPP also, despite a lot of challenges. AAPP staff and supported families have worked non-stop. Sometimes we even have 18-hour working days for over a year. Here, I would like to express my deepest thanks and appreciation to all AAPP staff for their strong commitment for a better future of our country and of our beloved people. As part of our other work, AAPP talks to international governments, diplomats, and United Nations on human rights violations and other crimes committed by the junta. We protect victims with humanitarian assistance. We treat trauma and stress with a mental health assistance program. We are trying to address the crimes of the junta as well as all armed groups. Developing transitional justice by giving trainings to CSO and other stakeholders so that government to come will not repeat the mistakes of the past. AAPP vision is to achieve peace and national reconciliation in Burma, a federal democratic country where no political prisoners remain incarcerated, and the fundamental rights of each and everyone is respected, protected, and promoted. Our vision is shaped by our past experience. As former political prisoners, we experienced brutal treatment inside prisons and interrogation. I was imprisoned for 7 years and tortured. So have most staff at the AAPP. We lost the chance to study with long-term health problems due to the mistreatment and poor prison conditions. Since the coup, military is doing all of it again. Now the entire country is suffering. Young generation has been forced to defend themselves. They respect human rights and want the whole country to experience it. One last request we have. Please pressure your government not to engage with the junta and not to give legitimacy. International government should recognize and stand with the National Unity Government and National Unity Consultative Council. They are the real representatives of the country or real representatives of the people. Finally, this is what ABB believes. As long as there are political prisoners in prisons, there will be no national reconciliation. Thank you for attending this ceremony. Thank you again for the International Peace Bureau for selecting ABB for this award. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Bochi. Thank you. I'm clapping. That's the only thing that Zoom doesn't do very well. It doesn't allow us properly to clap, to give you a real round of applause. But that comes from our hearts, I can assure you, Bochi. I've noticed that there is someone who has written in the chat that he was a political prisoner who was helped by you. I can't find his name amongst the participants, so maybe I've got it wrong somewhere, but I would like if possible.
Her name is Latagu.
Latagu.
Yeah, CDM Delta. Yeah.
What is the CDM? What does CDM mean?
Civil Disobedience Movement.
Oh,
she
I
is
see.
a physical doubter, and because of her civil disobedience movement, she was warranted by the military junta, and she fled to Thailand-Burma border.
And she was helped by your organization and is now safe and being helped by the United Nations, by the IOM, by the International Organization of Migration. So there you are. Zoom offers us that possibility to get in touch with her through this. It's exciting. It's moving, actually. It's very moving. And of course, so was your story. Your 7 years in jail, including torture, you personally. But I'm sure that is the story of many, many, many of the members of this organization that we are so proud to have given our Seán MacBride Prize to. I understand that now there is a musician who is going to help us, Ko Mun Aung, who is a musician who's going to help us now and give us an example of your music, I imagine. Is that you?
Yes.
Hello. Hello, I'm pleased, very pleased to see you there. Off you go, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate AAPPB for their awarding ceremony to allow me to join the ceremony too. So, but also AAPPB, they deserve this award. They have been helping and they have been working hard for last few decades about human rights situation in Burma. So I'm very proud of that they have been awarded this Peace Award, and I'm honored to join this ceremony. So I would like to sing a song in Burmese. It's written by a famous songwriter, Ko Ne Win. In Burmese, it's called Nyai Nyai Taipwe. In English, it's a battle for peace. So it's for freedom and peace in this country. See them yakan. Dorole puesto is in the bogo. Me say yaro shize. Nide kwe yendo chigo la chigo chi tekemi. Yentare hasetui kasato pelu go beka lebu yama manuela sai kheda mya do yit tin ya ro me akhatai mi lemalon ne mati de jwe sayan chi tekeli. Oh, Macabinwe, do tateti, say, no, Ibia, Canamie, yo, Matamye, Nia Macabre, downway, Nianze. Zemya so yin chao sei machide Kentare la ha do ye thesa Yin yang ye atwet tai pwe shi ya me Ni de thui ye yin lo ya lu me shi go chi te ke ni. Oh, Macabinwe, yo tateti, say, no, Ibia, Canamie, yo, Matamye, Nia Macabre, downway, Yanyanze. Yo, Matamye, Nia Macabre, downway, Yanyanze. Yo, Matamye, Nia Macabre, downway, Yanyanze. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. And it was also wonderful looking at everybody else from different parts of the world and their reactions to your singing, which was fantastic, your freedom and peace for Burma. I noticed that our minister, human rights minister, Aung Myon Min, was singing along. He knew all the words, he did. It's obviously a very, very important and very famous song, and you are a very famous and beloved singer for all Burmese democracy lovers. So thank you so much for accepting to be with us on this. Thank you very much. We now have a little bit of time, which I don't know who's going to chair, whether it's me or Bina perhaps, because I know that Bina is going to close the meeting, give us some ending words in a few minutes. But before that, if there's anyone who was not on the list of speakers who wants to say something, or anyone who has already spoken but wishes to add something, we have a few minutes to do that in, if there is such a wish. For example, the civil disobedience movement woman called Latagu, who is the doctor who was helped by AAP. If you're still with us, perhaps you want to say something. You could perhaps express your gratitude to AAP. Maybe she's not with us anymore. Anybody else wishing to say something? Let me look at the chat. No, seems to be no more contents. I think we're all moved to tears. Ayung from Peace Momo, I saw that you practically had tears in your eyes listening to that song. And you too, Cora, in the Philippines, you were also very moved by that. So you see how international you are, Komun Aung. You are beloved internationally and not just in your country. Bina, I think at this point I can give you the floor for your concluding remarks, if there's anything, unless I've missed out on something. Stephanie, give me my marching orders. Am I okay?
Yep, you're fine. I was just going to say the floor is also open to people who are physically at the ceremony. If any of the guests would like to say anything, perhaps Chan, if you wanted to say anything, this would be a moment. So
doesn't seem to be, but
no pressure though. Just a suggestion.
Obviously, I think we're moved to silence by the music, by Komun Aung, and by the words before of the stories that Bochi has shared with us and that Minister Aung Myo Min have also told us about. So I think we can move on to Bina. Bina.
Yes.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Bina Nepram, and I am from the neighboring region of Manipur in the northeast of India. So, and on behalf of the International Peace Bureau, I am, like Lisa said, we have been deeply moved during the entire ceremony. Our hearts, our minds are with the people of Burma. And what happened last year, we all felt the pain on 1st of February when the military coup took place. And it has got worse. And then Ukraine came and everything was forgotten. But today, as International Peace Bureau, as a world's oldest peace organization committed to peace, we're absolutely thrilled that the Assistant Association for Political Prisoners of Burma have been awarded the Seán MacBride Peace Prize. As a neighboring person from Manipur, how thrilled I was to be able to be a part of this process to ensure that AAPEP gets the honor that it deserves from the world's oldest peace organization. For us at the International Peace Bureau, and Cora is also here with us, our members in Asia, we have been working very hard to ensure that peace is made meaningful to the lives of everyone in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, and other forgotten war zones where our stories have been relegated to the shadows of history. Currently, what I would like to share is, as the struggle in Myanmar, Burma continues, I would like to share that currently over 1,500 Burmese people from Myanmar have fled to Manipur and in Mizoram right now. We are doing all we can, including 17 lawmakers. We are doing all we can to protect your people, and we will defend it till the end, because it's for democracy and for rule of law that we know that you are doing this. India has not signed the Convention on Refugees. As a result, a lot of people have been pushed back, and we have taken to law courts of India to be able to protect, and currently 4,000 are presently waiting medical treatment in Manipur and in New Delhi, and we are doing all we can to protect your people. We are sending many of the children to schools in Manipur right now. We're ensuring that as a human beings, as neighbors, as people with a conscience, we are doing all we can. pushing governments, pushing civil society, sensitizing the public in Mizoram and Manipur and northeast of India to ensure that whoever comes to our region get the support that they need. This is just to share, as I mentioned, over 1,517 lawmakers currently in the part of the world that I was born in. So this is to just to share to Minister, I have visited Myanmar several times. Kachin State, Yangon, Seán State. I've had talks with, and Tintin Ong is a very, very dear friend of mine who lived as 10 years in exile in Delhi. She was arrested and she was imprisoned, but we are glad that she's out. And as Bochi said, until every political prisoner is freed, we will not rest. And we at International Peace Bureau will leave no stone unturned to ensure that the struggle, the sacrifices of many of the young people and children who died in this conflict, young people whose lives have been lost, and people of multi-generations who have given you decades of struggle will not go in vain from the face of this earth. We are with you in your struggle as neighbors, as fellow human beings, and please continue to fight. As you mentioned, the civil disobedient movements is not only for the people of Myanmar. We have pricked the conscience of India, the world's largest democracy, who have let this down. But civil disobedience movement is what Mahatma Gandhi started for to get the British out of India. And the whole world should join Burma's civil disobedience movement so that, as we mentioned, that the military and the militarization of our lives of democracy must stop. And the International Peace Bureau stands strongly, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, tear to tear with the people of Myanmar. Congratulations, AAPP, and your struggle goes on, and we are stronger together because of you all, and we will continue this spirit of journey together. Yam nungai jere in my Manipuri language. Thank you very much, and we are with you in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bina. Thank you very much for your closing remarks. One last thing I'd like to add to that is if Bochi or anyone else from AAP or Aung Myo Min, the Human Rights Minister of the National Unity Government, if ever you feel that the International Peace Bureau can help in adding its voice to an appeal, to a campaign, to a petition or something, please do not hesitate to call on us. We have a broad network of organizations that are members of the International Peace Bureau. We have a board that is made up of people from all 5 continents. So it's not easy for anybody, but it's easier for us at the IPB perhaps than for other networks to create a wave of opinion and support for a cause, for your cause. And we, of course, are duty bound, but also from heart to heart, as Bina said, shoulder to shoulder, there we are alongside you to do this whenever you feel this is needed. Please, please do not hesitate to call on us. Civil disobedience movements are the origin of most of the organizations that are part of the International Peace Bureau. We are in a more fortunate situation than AAPP right now, but still we're there, and we're there to help, and we're there to stand in solidarity with you and to help however we can with our name. And I think that unless somebody, oh, I can see them now, Bochi, I can see your people, the people who have been watching us. That's fantastic. Thank you, Bo. I'm waving my hello to you all. Good. Anyway, okay, and thank you also, Komun Aung, the musician who moved us so much. Thank you, all of you, for being here, and look forward to hearing from you whenever you need our help, our support, and maybe the next time we will all meet in person, perhaps in Asia somewhere, I think that may be in Reiner's ideas for the future of the IPB. And much luck to you all. And until, let's join the fight, and we will not rest until every political prisoner is freed. We promise.